Elon Musk claimed on Thursday that despite a slew of technical and regulatory difficulties, his new SpaceX Starship, designed for the Moon and Mars voyages, will reach Earth orbit for the first time this year. Musk addressed a crowd of press reporters and fans at his company's Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas, for a presentation that incorporated a high-tech pep rally, big-screen films, and a question-and-answer session. While the wealthy SpaceX founder and CEO's presentation vividly detailed his vision of humanity's interplanetary future, he was more reserved about the operational aspects of the enormous SpaceX rocket Starship, which is essential to those and other aspirations. Before it can go into orbit or complete a contract worth billions of dollars to put NASA people on the Moon, let alone occupy the Red Planet, the spaceship must overcome severe technological and regulatory barriers. In this presentation, Mr. Musk stated that he believes Starship would be capable of creating a self-sufficient metropolis on Mars, which he claimed would entail transporting 1 million tons of material from Earth. This is the first point in the 4.5 billion-year history of Earth that it has been possible. We need to seize the opportunity and do it as quickly as possible. I want to be frank. Civilization is feeling a little fragile these days. Mr. Musk exclaimed, "Let's make it real," after showing an animated simulation of an imagined Mars colony serviced by SpaceX rockets. SpaceX has been working on Starship, the most powerful rocket ever, for several years. It would also be completely reusable, unlike any prior rocket. This has the potential to significantly reduce the cost of carrying cargoes to orbit, less than $10 million to send 100 tons into space, and it may be doable within a few years, according to Mr. Musk. SpaceX has conducted a series of test flights of the top half of the Starship that will travel into orbit and then return, demonstrating how it may belly flop in the atmosphere and then land. One of the flights, in May 2021, was a success, while the others were a disaster. To reach orbit, a much bigger booster stage, known as Super Heavy, with hundreds of engines is required. That has yet to be tested. Mr. Musk, on the other hand, has a habit of making way too optimistic timetable estimates. When he originally talked about his Mars rocket, then an even larger design, in 2016, he predicted the first test mission to Mars, without people aboard, would launch in 2022, and the first humans traveling to Mars would leave 2 years later. Mr. Musk estimated that the first orbital flight would take place within 6 months in a September 2019 update. However, despite the fact that 2022 is now here, SpaceX has yet to attempt an orbital launch of Starship. In his speech, he expressed confidence that it will happen this year, although he was unclear about the details. His speech, delivered at the SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas, near Brownsville, blended in a range of bawdy statements while basically reiterating the vision he had previously detailed, including his reasons for why humanity needs to extend beyond Earth as a backup plan for human existence. He also addressed opponents who claim that space exploration is a waste of time and money, pointing out that just a small portion of the federal budget is dedicated to spaceflight and exploration. "I'm just suggesting we'd like maybe 0.5% or something. Like that would probably be okay," alluding to space budgeting. He blended in technical specifics regarding the company's advancements to the next edition of the engines utilized in Starship. "So the only remaining concern that we're aware of is melting the chamber," Mr. Musk added, referring to the engine's extreme heat. "It's quite tough just to not melt the chamber," Mr. Musk continued. "It's the final remaining difficulty, but I believe we're on the verge of resolving it." He was optimistic that a Federal Aviation Administration environmental evaluation will soon grant SpaceX permission to launch to space from Boca Chica. "We've had a rough indication that there may be an approval in March. If that happens, an orbital launch attempt may happen in a few months or even in May, as he described." But he also admitted that if the FAA determined that a more thorough environmental evaluation was required, SpaceX would transfer the launches to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, causing a 6 to 8 month delay in order to alter the enormous Starship's launching pad there. In addition to future journeys to Mars, NASA plans to utilize Starship to transport people from orbit around the Moon to the Moon's surface. The business earned a $2.9 billion contract for the mission, beating out other bids like Blue Origin, the rocket startup established by Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and defense contractor Dynetics. On paper, the lunar landing is slated for 2025, but it is anticipated to be postponed. Aside from Starship, returning people to the moon necessitates the Space Launch System, another big rocket under construction by NASA that is also behind schedule. SpaceX would also need to be able to refuel the propellant tanks of a Starship while in orbit above Earth for the moon voyage. Mr. Musk stated that every few hours, a series of Starship tankers will launch, carrying fuel for the moon-bound rocket. Mr. Musk stated that he does not perceive a conflict between his NASA work and his larger ambitions. "We're going to make a lot of ships, a lot of boosters," he said. "Adding legs to land on the moon, that can be done pretty quickly." And Mr. Musk remained optimistic that his massive rocket would function properly. "We'll get it done," he added, despite the fact that there would almost certainly be bumps in the road along the way. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Thanks for watching.